The fluorescent lights of St. Michael's Hospital flicker above my head as I sit alone in the cold plastic chair. My hands are shaking. My phone has been silent for 3 hours. 3 hours since I called my husband. 3 hours since I begged my mother-in-law to come. 3 hours since I texted my own parents, my sister, anyone who might care that I am here, waiting for test results that could change everything. The waiting room smells of antiseptic and fear. A woman across from me clutches her rosary, her lips moving in silent prayer. A man paces near the window, his shoes squeaking against the linoleum floor. And I sit here, alone, watching the clock tick away the minutes of my life. My name is Clara Bennett. I am 32 years old. I have been married for 7 years, and tonight I learned that my body has betrayed me in a way I never expected. The doctor's words still echo in my mind, clinical and cold. Kidney failure. Stage 4. Dialysis 3 times a week until a donor is found. The numbers swim in my head like fish in murky water. Creatinine levels, GFR percentages, survival rates. I do not understand all of it, but I understand enough. Without a kidney, I will die. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. I check my phone again. Nothing. Not a single message. Not a single missed call. Daniel, my husband, is probably at the office. He always says his work is important. More important than dinner together. More important than our anniversary last month. More important, apparently, than his wife facing a death sentence in a cold hospital room. I try calling him again. It rings 4 times before going to voicemail. His voice, smooth and professional, tells me to leave a message after the beep. I hang up without speaking. What is there to say? Come quickly, Daniel. I might be dying. Would he even care? The nurse calls my name. I stand on trembling legs and follow her down a corridor that seems to stretch forever. The walls are painted a pale green, the color of seasickness. My reflection in the glass windows shows a woman I barely recognize. Dark circles under her eyes, pale skin, hair that has not been washed in 2 days. When did I become this person? When did I stop taking care of myself? The answer is simple. I stopped when Daniel stopped noticing. I stopped when his family made it clear I would never be good enough. I stopped when the loneliness became so heavy that getting out of bed felt like lifting a mountain. The doctor's office is small and cluttered. Dr. Ramirez sits behind her desk, her glasses perched on her nose, her expression carefully neutral. She has done this before, I realize, delivered bad news to people who thought their lives were ordinary. She gestures for me to sit, and I sink into the chair like a stone dropping into water. She explains everything again, slowly, carefully, as if I am a child who needs the words broken into smaller pieces. My kidneys are failing. The damage is irreversible. I will need a transplant to survive. Without one, I have perhaps 2 years, maybe 3 if I am lucky. The dialysis will keep me alive, but it is not a solution. It is a bandage on a wound that will never heal. I ask about donors. She tells me that family members are usually the best match. A sibling, a parent, a spouse. The word hangs in the air like smoke. A spouse. Daniel could save my life, if he wanted to, if he cared enough to offer a piece of himself to keep me alive. But even as the thought forms, I know it is foolish. Daniel has not offered me kindness in years. Why would he offer me a kidney? I leave the hospital at 11 o'clock at night. The parking lot is nearly empty. My car sits alone under a flickering streetlight, looking as abandoned as I feel. The drive home takes 20 minutes, 20 minutes of silence, 20 minutes of wondering what I did to deserve this, 20 minutes of trying to find hope in a situation that feels hopeless. The house is dark when I arrive. Daniel's car is not in the driveway. I let myself in, flicking on lights as I move through rooms that feel more like a museum than a home. Everything is perfect, everything is pristine, and everything is cold. The kitchen counter gleams. The living room cushions are perfectly arranged. There is no warmth here, no laughter, no love. Just the hollow echo of a marriage that died years ago, even if neither of us has been brave enough to bury it. I sit at the kitchen table and stare at my phone. Still no messages. I think about calling my parents, but the thought makes my stomach clench. They moved to Florida 3 years ago, retired, happy. They call on holidays and birthdays, but we have never been close. Not really. My sister is worse. We have not spoken since she borrowed $5,000 from me and never paid it back. I have no one. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I am facing the biggest crisis of my life, and I am completely, utterly alone. The front door opens at midnight. Daniel walks in, loosening his tie, his phone still pressed to his ear. He is talking about quarterly reports and profit margins. He does not even look at me as he passes through the kitchen. I clear my throat. He holds up one finger, asking me to wait. Always wait, always later. Always not now, Clara. I am busy. I have important things to do. When he finally hangs up, he looks at me with mild irritation. You are still awake, he says. It is not a question. It is an observation, a statement of fact. I am still awake. Yes, because I was at the hospital, because I learned something that will change everything, because I needed my husband, and he was nowhere to be found. I tell him everything. The diagnosis, the prognosis, the treatment options, the need for a donor. I watch his face as I speak, searching for something. Concern, fear, love, anything. But his expression remains flat, neutral, like I am giving him a weather report instead of telling him I might die. When I finish, he is quiet for a long moment. Then he sighs. That is unfortunate, he says. His voice is measured, controlled. The same tone he uses when discussing disappointing sales figures. I will call our insurance company tomorrow. Make sure everything is covered. I stare at him. That is it? That is all you have to say? I might be dying, Daniel. Does that mean nothing to you? He looks at me then, really looks at me. And what I see in his eyes is not love. It is not concern. It is annoyance. Clara, he says, his voice taking on that patronizing tone I have grown to hate. You are being dramatic. People live with kidney problems all the time. You will be fine. Fine. I will be fine. As if fine is enough. As if fine is what I deserve. I think about the years I have spent trying to be the perfect wife, the dinners I cooked that went uneaten, the events I attended where he ignored me, the nights I lay awake, wondering why I was not enough. And now, facing the possibility of death, I am still not enough. I will never be enough for this man. The next few days blur together. I start dialysis. 3 times a week I sit in a chair while a machine does the work my kidneys cannot. The other patients become familiar faces. Mrs. Martinez, who crochets blankets for her grandchildren. Mr. Thompson, who tells jokes that are never quite funny. Young Sarah, who is only 19 and already on her 2nd year of treatment. We do not talk about hope. We do not talk about the future. We talk about television shows and recipes and anything that makes us forget, even for a moment, that our bodies are failing us. Daniel does not visit. He sends a bouquet of flowers once, yellow roses, my least favorite. The card says, "Get well soon," in someone else's handwriting. His assistant, probably. I throw them in the trash. His mother calls, not to offer support, but to remind me that illness is no excuse for neglecting my household duties. She speaks of her own health problems, of her sacrifices, of how Daniel deserves a wife who can keep up with his demanding lifestyle. I listen in silence, the phone pressed against my ear, and I think about what it would feel like to hang up, to never speak to this woman again, to walk away from this family that has never wanted me. The testing begins, blood draws, tissue typing, compatibility assessments. The doctors need to find a match. They start with Daniel. He agrees to be tested, but his reluctance is obvious. He complains about the time it takes, the inconvenience, the needle marks on his arm. When the results come back, he is a perfect match. His kidney could save my life. The doctor delivers the news with a smile, as if it is good news, as if this changes anything. I watch Daniel's face when the doctor tells him. I see the flicker of something in his eyes, not determination, not love, fear. He is afraid, not of the surgery, not of the recovery. He is afraid of losing something, a part of himself, a piece of his precious body. He does not want to give me anything. He never has. That night I bring up the surgery. I try to be gentle, understanding. I know it is a big decision, I say. I know it is scary. But this could save my life. You could save my life. He does not look at me. He stares at the television, his jaw tight, his hands clenched around the remote. I need to think about it, he says. Think about it. As if my life is a business proposal, as if my survival requires a cost-benefit analysis. Wait, days pass. A week, 2 weeks. He does not bring it up again. Every time I try to discuss it, he changes the subject. He has meetings. He has deadlines. He has everything except time for me. The call comes on a Tuesday afternoon. I am at the dialysis center, hooked up to the machine, when my phone buzzes. It is Daniel's assistant. She sounds nervous, apologetic. Mr. Bennett asked me to inform you, she says, that after careful consideration, he has decided not to proceed with the donation. He feels it would be too risky for his career. He needs to be in peak physical condition for the upcoming merger. I do not cry. I do not scream. I simply disconnect the call and stare at the ceiling. The machine hums beside me. Mrs. Martinez is talking about her grandson's birthday party. Mr. Thompson is complaining about the hospital food. And I am sitting here, realizing that my husband has chosen his career over my life, his merger over my survival, his precious body over our marriage. Something shifts inside me. Something that has been holding on for years finally lets go. I do not feel sad. I feel empty, clean, like a wound that has been drained of infection. The pain is gone, and in its place is clarity, crystal clear, razor-sharp clarity. I'm going to divorce Daniel Bennett. The decision settles into my bones like truth. Not a question, not a possibility, a certainty. I have spent 7 years trying to earn love from a man incapable of giving it. I have shrunk myself, silenced myself, erased myself, all to fit into his world. And now, when I need him most, he has shown me exactly who he is. A man who would let his wife die rather than inconvenience himself. Check if you are already subscribed to this channel. If you are facing a story that is testing your limits, if you have ever felt invisible to the people who should love you most, then this channel is for you. Subscribe now and follow Clara's journey. Because sometimes, the moment you stop waiting to be saved is the moment your real life begins. The lawyer's office is on the 14th floor of a glass tower in downtown Manhattan. I take the elevator alone, watching the numbers climb, feeling lighter with each floor. Mr. Harrison is a small man with kind eyes and a firm handshake. He has handled hundreds of divorces, he tells me. He has seen every kind of marriage fall apart. But when I tell him my story, he goes quiet. His pen stops moving. His eyes soften with something that might be pity or might be respect. You want to file immediately, he asks. I nod. Today, if possible. He studies me for a moment. Most people hesitate, he says. They wonder if they are making the right decision. They ask for time to think. I have thought, I tell him. For 7 years I have thought. I have hoped and waited and prayed for things to change. They never did. They never will. And I refuse to spend whatever time I have left waiting for a man who has already shown me that I am expendable. Mr. Harrison nods slowly. Then he begins to explain the process. Asset division, spousal support, documentation requirements. I listen carefully, taking notes, asking questions. For the first time in years, I feel like I am in control of my own life, like I am making decisions that matter, like I am someone worth fighting for, even if I have to fight for myself. The papers are ready within the week. I do not tell Daniel. I do not warn him. I simply arrange for a process server to deliver the documents to his office on a Friday afternoon. Let him find out in front of his colleagues. Let him feel a fraction of the humiliation I have felt for years. Let him understand that his wife is not as weak as he thought. I imagine his face when he opens the envelope. The shock, the anger, the wounded pride of a man who thought he was untouchable. I imagine his mother's reaction when she finds out. The phone calls, the accusations, the blame that will inevitably land on me. But I do not care anymore. I am done. Performing for an audience that never appreciated the show? The hospital calls that same Friday. There is news, the nurse says, urgent news. Can I come in immediately? I drive to St. Michael's with my heart pounding. My mind races through possibilities. Bad news, worse news. My condition deteriorating. Time running out faster than expected. I park crookedly and run through the automatic doors, barely registering the surprised looks from the staff. Dr. Ramirez is waiting for me, but she is not. Alone. A man in a dark suit stands beside her. Tall, broad-shouldered, silver streaks at his temples, eyes the color of storm clouds. He watches me approach with an expression I cannot read. Curious. Assessing. Something else I cannot name. Mrs. Bennett, Dr. Ramirez says, her voice breathless with excitement. We have found a donor. I stop walking. The words do not make sense. A donor. But Daniel refused. My family is not compatible. I have no one else. How is this possible? The man in the dark suit steps forward. His voice is low, measured, accented in a way that speaks of old money and European education. He extends his hand, and I take it automatically, feeling the warmth of his palm against my cold fingers. My name is Vincent Moretti, he says. I am your donor. I stare at him. I do not know this man. I have never seen him before. Yet he is standing here, in this hospital, offering to give me a piece of himself, offering to save my life. A stranger, a complete stranger. I do not understand, I whisper. Vincent Moretti smiles. It is a small smile, barely a curve of his lips, but it transforms his face from severe to almost kind. You do not need to understand yet, he says. You only need to know that help has arrived, that you are not alone anymore. Dr. Ramirez is explaining something about compatibility tests. Perfect match. Rare blood type. Ideal tissue markers. The words wash over me like music in a language I do not speak. I am still staring at Vincent Moretti. Still, trying to make sense of his presence, his generosity, his existence in my life at this precise moment. Why? I ask. Why would you do this? You do not know me. He does not answer immediately. Instead, he looks at me with those storm-gray eyes, and I feel something shift in the room. The air grows heavier, warmer, charged with something I cannot identify. Because, he says finally, I believe that every person deserves a chance to live, and because I have the power to give you that chance. It is as simple as that, but it is not simple. Nothing about this is simple. A stranger does not walk into a hospital and offer to donate an organ without reason. There is always a price, always a condition, always something lurking beneath the surface of generosity. I will take the tests, I say slowly. If you are truly compatible, if this is truly possible, then I will accept. But I need to understand who you are. I need to know why you are doing this. Vincent Moretti nods. Fair enough, he says. We have time. Let the doctors do their work. Let the tests confirm what I already know. And then, Clara Bennett, I will tell you everything. He knows my name. Of course he does. The hospital must have told him. But hearing it from his lips feels different. Intimate. Like he has been saying it in his mind for longer than today. The tests take 3 days. 3 days of blood draws and imaging and consultations. 3 days of Vincent Moretti appearing at the hospital in his dark suits. His expression unreadable, his presence both comforting and unsettling. He does not push, he does not demand. He simply shows up, waits, watches me with those grey eyes as if I am a puzzle he is trying to solve. On the 3rd day, the results come back. Dr. Ramirez can barely contain her excitement. It is a perfect match, she tells me. Better than perfect. Your bodies are incredibly compatible. The surgery can proceed as soon as you are ready. I look at Vincent. He stands by the window, silhouetted against the afternoon light. He does not smile, he does not celebrate. He simply nods as if this outcome was never in doubt. That evening, he takes me to dinner, a small Italian restaurant in a part of the city I have never explored. The walls are covered with old photographs. The tables are lit by candles. The owner greets Vincent by name, kissing both his cheeks, speaking rapidly in Italian. We are given the best table, tucked into a corner where we can talk without being overheard. "You wanted to know who I am," Vincent says once the wine is poured. "I will tell you, but first, I need you to promise that you will listen until the end, that you will not judge until you have heard everything." "I promise," I say, and I mean it. This man is offering to save my life. The least I can do is hear his story. Vincent leans back in his chair. His fingers trace the rim of his wine glass. The candle flame flickers in his eyes, making them look like embers. "I am a businessman," he begins. "My family has been in this country for 4 generations. We built our fortune through various enterprises, some of them legitimate, some of them less so." He pauses, watching my face. "You have heard of the Moretti family, perhaps? In the news, in whispered conversations, in stories that mothers tell their children to frighten them. The name triggers something in my memory. Headlines, investigations, rumors of organized crime, of power that exists outside the law, of men who control empires from the shadows. You are in the Mafia," I say. "It is not a question." Vincent's smile is rueful. "Such an old-fashioned word," he says. "But yes, my family has operated outside the boundaries of legal business for generations. We have done things that I am not proud of, things that haunt me still. But we have also protected our community, provided for those who had no one else, created order where there was only chaos." "Why are you telling me this?" I ask. "You could have hidden it. Let me believe you were just a wealthy philanthropist." "Because I do not believe in lies," Vincent says. "Not anymore. I spent too many years living behind masks, saying what people wanted to hear, being who they expected me to be. If I'm going to give you a part of myself, I want you to know exactly who I am. No illusions, no pretense, just truth." I take a sip of wine, letting the warmth spread through my chest. This man is a criminal, a member of an organization that has caused untold harm. And yet, he is sitting across from me, offering to save my life, offering me honesty when my own husband gave me nothing but lies. "Why me?" I ask again. "Of all the people in the world who need transplants, why did you choose me?" Vincent is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is softer than before, almost vulnerable. "Because I know what it is like to be abandoned," he says, "to be surrounded by people who should love you and feel utterly alone. I have watched from a distance, Clara. I have seen how your husband treats you, how his family dismisses you, how you have been slowly disappearing, trying to fit into a space that was never meant for you. You have been watching me. The thought should terrify me. A powerful criminal has been monitoring my life. But instead of fear, I feel something else. Recognition. Understanding. This man has seen me, really seen me, when everyone else looked through me like I was made of glass." "I have resources," Vincent admits. "When I learned of your condition, when I discovered that you were compatible with my blood type, I saw an opportunity, a chance to do something good, something that might begin to balance the scales of my life. And you expect nothing in return?" He meets my eyes. "I expect nothing," he says. "I ask nothing. You are free to take this gift and walk away, rebuild your life without any connection to me. Or," he pauses, "or you can let me be part of that life. As a friend, a protector, nothing more than that, unless you choose otherwise." The candles flicker. The restaurant hums with quiet conversation, and I sit here across from a man who has just offered me everything my husband refused to give: life, honesty, choice. "I need time," I say, "to think, to process." Vincent nods. "Take all the time you need," he says. "The surgery is scheduled for next week. Until then, I will give you space. But know this, Clara. Whatever you decide, you will not face this alone. Not anymore. He drives me home that night in a black car that moves through the city. Like a shadow. The driver is a silent man with careful eyes. Guards, I realize. Vincent Moretti does not travel without protection. His world is dangerous in ways I am only beginning to understand. When we stop in front of my house, Vincent walks me to the door. The night air is cold. Stars are scattered across the sky like spilled diamonds. He takes my hand, and his touch is gentle. Warm. Sleep well, he says. Dream of the future you want, and know that whatever that future looks like, I will help you build it. I watch him drive away. Then I walk into the house that no longer feels like home. Daniel is sitting in the living room, the divorce papers spread across the coffee table. His face is twisted with rage. "What is this?" he demands. "What the hell is this, Clara?" I take a deep breath. "Those are divorce papers, Daniel. I filed for divorce. You cannot do this." He stands, his fists clenched, his voice rising. "You cannot leave me. Do you have any idea what this will do to my reputation? To my family?" "Your family," I say quietly, "has never been my family. And your reputation has always mattered more to you than I have. You proved that when you refused to help save my life." "That was a business decision," he snaps. "The merger requires—" "The merger," I interrupt, "will happen without your kidney. And your marriage will end without your consent. I am done, Daniel. I am done waiting for you to love me. I am done shrinking to fit your expectations. I am done dying in a house that never wanted me alive." He stares at me like I have become a stranger, and perhaps I have. The woman who walked into this marriage 7 years ago is gone. The woman standing here now is someone new, someone stronger, someone who has finally learned that she is worth saving. The surgery happens on a Wednesday. I wake up in a bright room, the smell of flowers drifting through the air, the steady beep of monitors marking the rhythm of my new life. There is a strange sensation in my side, a tightness that the nurses say is normal, a reminder that a part of someone else now lives inside me. Vincent is in recovery 2 floors up. The doctors say his surgery went well. He will be back on his feet within weeks. But for now, he is resting, healing, giving his body time to adjust to its new reality. I have a visitor that first afternoon, not Daniel, who has been banned from the hospital at my request, not his mother, who sent a scathing voicemail about betrayal and ingratitude, but Vincent's sister, a woman named Isabella with dark hair and kind eyes and a smile that reminds me of summer. She brings flowers, sunflowers. My favorite, though I never told anyone. She knows things about me, I realize. Vincent has shared my life with his family in ways I am only beginning to understand. "How are you feeling?" Isabella asks, settling into the chair beside my bed. "Alive," I say. "I feel alive." She laughs. It is a warm sound, genuine, the laugh of someone who has known pain and learned to find joy anyway. "That is a good start," she says. "My brother would be pleased to hear it." "Your brother," I say carefully. "He told me about your family, about what you do." Isabella's expression does not change. "He values honesty," she says. "It is one of his best qualities, and one of his worst. He cannot lie, even when lying would be easier." "Is that why he helped me? Because he cannot lie to himself about what is right?" She considers the question. "Partly," she says, "but also because he has been watching you for months, Clara. Not in a frightening way, in the way a man watches someone who reminds him of the person he wants to become. You have suffered in silence. You have held on when most would have broken. You have shown courage that our family recognizes, values, respects. I do not know what to say. A powerful family has been observing my quiet struggle, seeing strength where I only saw survival. It is a strange feeling, unsettling and flattering in equal measure." "What happens now?" I ask. Isabella smiles. "Now you heal," she says. "Now you discover who you are when you are not fighting to stay alive. Now you make choices because you want to, not because you have to. And if you want our family to be part of that journey, we will be there. But the choice is always yours." The weeks pass slowly. Healing is not the triumphant march I imagined. It is measured in small victories. walking to the bathroom without help, eating solid food without nausea, taking a shower without exhaustion. Each day brings progress, and each night brings dreams that feel more like visions of possibility than shadows of fear. Daniel signs the divorce papers eventually. His lawyers fought hard, but mine fought harder. Mr. Harrison, it turns out, has a special talent for dealing with men who think their money makes them untouchable. The settlement gives me enough to start over. Not wealthy, but free. Free from the house that never wanted me. Free from the family that never saw me. Free from a marriage that was always more performance than partnership. I move into a small apartment in Brooklyn. It has hardwood floors and big windows, and a view of a park where children play on sunny afternoons. I hang sunflowers in the kitchen. I paint the bedroom walls a soft blue. I create a space that feels like me for the first time in years. Vincent visits on the first day. He brings a bottle of wine and a small painting of the Italian coast. For your walls, he says. Something beautiful, too. Look at when the days feel long. We sit on my new couch, surrounded by boxes that still need unpacking, and we talk. Not about his family or my divorce or the surgery that saved my life. We talk about books and movies and places we want to visit. We talk about childhood memories and embarrassing moments and the dreams we had before life taught us to be realistic. He is different than I expected. Quieter. More thoughtful. There is violence in his past, I know. Decisions that cannot be undone. But there is also this. A man who listens when I speak. A man who asks questions and actually wants the answers. A man who looks at me like I am already whole, not a project to be fixed. If you want this to be, he says that first evening, that sentence the commenter knows this story needs something. Comment now with the phrase, if I were Clara, I would do the same thing. Take a moment. Leave that comment. Show that you understand what it means to choose yourself when everyone else has chosen to. Leave. Spring arrives with unexpected warmth. The park outside my window fills with flowers. I start physical therapy to rebuild the strength I lost during months of illness. I find a job at a small non-profit, helping families navigate the healthcare system. It does not pay much, but it gives me purpose. Meaning. A reason to wake up every morning that has nothing to do with anyone but myself. Vincent becomes a fixture in my new life. Not overwhelming, not demanding, just present. He appears on Saturday mornings with croissants from a bakery in his neighborhood. He takes me to concerts and museums and restaurants I never knew existed. He introduces me to his world gradually, carefully, always giving me the option to step back. His family accepts me with a warmth I have never known. Isabella becomes my closest friend, calling me every evening to check in, dragging me to yoga classes and wine tastings and long walks through the city. Their mother, a formidable woman named Rosa, teaches me to cook authentic Italian dishes, sharing recipes that have been in the family for generations. Even his brothers, men who carry themselves with dangerous grace, treat me with respect that feels earned, not expected. But there are also shadows, moments when Vincent's phone rings and his expression hardens, nights when he disappears without explanation and returns with exhaustion carved into his face. I know what he does. I know that his power comes at a cost, and I struggle with what it means to care for a man whose world operates by rules I cannot fully understand. One evening, 3 months after my surgery, I ask him directly. How do you reconcile it? I say. The person you are with me and the person you are in that other world. We are sitting on the roof of his building, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of gold and orange. Vincent is quiet for a long time. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of years. I do not reconcile it, he admits. I hold both truths at the same time. I'm a man who has done terrible things, and I'm a man who wants to do better, who wants to build something that will outlast the violence, who wants to be worthy of the trust you have placed in me. And if you cannot be both, I ask, if one day you have to choose? He turns to look at me. His eyes are serious, intense. Then I will choose you, he says, without hesitation. I have spent my life building an empire, but empires crumble. What lasts is connection, love, the people we choose, to stand beside when the world is falling apart. I do not know what to say, so I do not say anything. I simply lean against his shoulder and watch the sky darken into night. The city sprawls beneath us, millions of lives unfolding in apartments and offices and streets we will never see. And I think about how strange life is, how the worst thing that ever happened to me led me here, to this rooftop, to this man, to this moment of peace that I never thought I would find. The past does not disappear. Daniel remarries within 6 months, a younger woman from his office who his mother approves of instantly. I see the announcement on social media and feel nothing. No anger, no regret. Just a distant recognition that I once wanted his approval more than I wanted my own happiness. My own family reaches out eventually. My parents call, awkward and apologetic, admitting that they should have been there when I needed them. We begin to rebuild, slowly, carefully. Sunday phone calls that last a little longer each week, a visit planned for the holidays. It is not the closeness I longed for as a child, but it is something, a start. My sister remains distant. Some wounds take longer to heal. Some relationships cannot be fixed with phone calls and good intentions. I accept this truth with a grace I never knew I possessed. Not everyone will be part of my new life, and that is okay. I have learned that family is not only about blood. It is about choice, about showing up, about earning. Trust through action, not obligation. A year passes, then 2. I grow stronger every day. My health stabilizes. My work expands. I open a small clinic in Brooklyn, helping underserved communities access the healthcare they deserve. Vincent funds the venture but never interferes. He trusts my vision, respects my independence, loves me in ways that do not require my surrender. We do not rush toward commitment. There is no proposal in the first year, no wedding planned in the second. We build something different, a partnership based on honesty and patience and the understanding that we have both been broken by people who claim to love us. We learn each other's rhythms. We fight sometimes, usually about boundaries or his tendency to protect me from problems I want to face myself. We make up, we grow, but the shadows of his world do not disappear. One night, I come home to find blood on his shirt. He has been hurt, a wound on his arm that he dismisses as minor. I clean it carefully, my hand steady despite the fear pounding in my chest. This is the reality, I realize. Loving Vincent means accepting that danger will always be close, that there will be nights like this, choices I cannot control. I could walk away, build a safer life, find someone whose biggest risk is a bad investment or a lost job. But I have lived that life. I have been safe and invisible, and slowly dying inside a house that should have been a home. I choose this instead. I choose the man who saw me when no one else was looking, who gave me a piece of himself so I could live, who shows up imperfect and dangerous and real every single day. The wedding, when it finally happens, is small and quiet. A ceremony in a garden behind Rosa's house, surrounded by flowers that bloom like hope. Isabella is my maid of honor. Vincent's brother Marco serves as best man. There are no crowds, no spectacle, no performance for people who do not matter. Just the two of us, promising to choose each other, again and again for as long as we have. I wear a simple white dress that flows in the summer breeze. Vincent wears a dark suit and a smile that transforms his face from intimidating to tender. When we exchange vows, I see tears in his eyes. This man who controls empires, who makes powerful people tremble, weeps quietly as I promise to stand beside him through whatever comes. The reception lasts until midnight. Dancing and laughter and food that seems endless. I watch Vincent across the room, surrounded by his family, relaxed in a way I rarely see. He catches my eye and raises his glass. A silent toast, a promise. Whatever happens next, we face it together. Married life is different than I expected, not because Vincent changes, but because I continue to grow. The clinic expands. We hire more staff, open a second location, start a foundation to help families afford the care they need. I throw myself into the work, finding purpose that has nothing to do with pleasing anyone but myself. Vincent supports every venture. He attends fundraisers in his impeccable suits, charming donors with a smile that hides the steel beneath. He connects me with resources I could never access alone. But he never tries to take over, never suggests that my work is less important than his. He understands, perhaps better than anyone, what it means to build something that matters. We talk sometimes about having children. The idea both excites and terrifies me. My body has been through so much. The doctors say it is possible but risky. Vincent is patient as always. No pressure, he says. We decide together. If children are meant for us, we will find them. Through any path that opens. The path opens sooner than expected. Not through pregnancy, but through tragedy. Isabella calls one morning, her voice breaking with grief. A family in our community, people connected to the organization, has been torn apart by violence. A father lost, a mother barely surviving, and 3 children, alone and terrified, with nowhere to go. We take them in that same night. Sophia, 8 years old with her mother's eyes. The twins, Marco and Lucia, 6 years old and inseparable. They arrive with small suitcases and smaller smiles, uncertain of this new home, uncertain of us. I understand their fear. I remember what it felt like to need someone and wonder if they would stay. Vincent is gentler with them than I have ever seen. He reads bedtime stories with different voices for each character. He makes pancakes, shaped like animals on Sunday mornings. He teaches Marco to play chess and helps Sophia with homework and lets Lucia paint his fingernails in every color of the rainbow. The children begin to trust him, then to love him. And I watch a man who was raised in violence learn to be a father through tenderness. The adoption process takes years, legal complications, background checks that require creative navigation, bureaucratic obstacles that test our patience daily. But we persist. We fight for these children with the same determination that has defined both our lives. And finally, on a spring day much like the one when I first met Vincent, the judge signs the papers. Sophia, Marco, and Lucia become Moretti's. They become ours. I stand in the courtroom, holding Vincent's hand, watching our children receive their new names, and I think about how far we have traveled. From a hospital room where I thought I would die alone to this moment of radical belonging. From a marriage that tried to erase me to a family that sees me clearly. From desperation to something that feels like grace. The road was not straight. There were detours and dead ends and moments when I wanted to give up. But I kept moving, kept choosing, kept believing that somewhere ahead there was a life worth living. And now I am here, surrounded by love, anchored by purpose, home at last. Vincent and I stand on the courthouse steps, our children between us, the future spreading out like a map with no edges. Sophia looks up at me with those serious eyes. "Are we really a family now?" she asks. I kneel down so our faces are level. "We were always a family," I tell her. "The papers just make it official." She considers this for a moment. Then she smiles, bright and sudden, like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Okay," she says. "Can we get ice cream?" Vincent laughs. The sound fills the air like music. "Ice cream for everyone," he says, lifting Marco onto his shoulders while Lucia grabs his free hand. "My wife insists on it. My wife." The words still feel new, even after all this time. I take Sophia's hand and follow my family down the steps, into the city, into the life we have built together. If you have watched this far, it is because you liked this story. Leave a comment saying I have watched this far so I can get to know you and see who really enjoys the stories here on the channel. Your engagement means everything. Every comment, every view, every moment you spend here helps build something meaningful. And if this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear that their life can change, that the worst moments can lead to the best chapters, that it is never too late to choose yourself. The evening settles soft around our home, a house that we chose together, with rooms that echo with laughter and footsteps and all the small sounds of a family learning to love each other. I stand at the kitchen window, watching Vincent teach the twins to kick a soccer ball in the backyard. Sophia sits at the table behind me, doing homework, asking questions about history and science and why the sky is blue. This is my life now. Not the one I planned, not the one I thought I deserved, but the one I built, piece by piece, from the rubble of everything that fell apart. Rosa visits every Sunday. She cooks enough food for an army and insists that the children need more pasta in their lives. Isabella comes too, with her husband and their baby, and the house fills with noise and chaos, and the particular joy that only comes from being surrounded by people who show up, who stay. The clinic continues to grow. We serve thousands of families now, people who arrive desperate and leave with hope. I work long hours, driven by the memory of sitting alone in that hospital waiting room, terrified and invisible. No one should feel that way, I decided. No one should face their darkest moments without someone to hold their hand. Vincent's business has changed too, the E. Organization still exists, still wields power in ways that make me uncomfortable sometimes, but he has pushed toward legitimacy, investing in legal enterprises, distancing himself from the operations that once defined his family. It is slow work, dangerous work. There are people who do not want things to change, but he is patient, relentless, committed to building something that our children can be proud of. We fight sometimes. Marriage is not the smooth road that movies promise. There are disagreements about work and parenting and how much danger is acceptable. There are nights when I lie awake, worrying about threats I cannot see. There are moments when the weight of his world presses down on us both, and I wonder if we made the right choice. But then morning comes, and Vincent is beside me, his warmth against my back, his breath slow and steady in sleep. And I remember all the mornings I woke up alone, even when Daniel was in the bed next to me. I remember what it felt like to be invisible, and I am grateful, fiercely and completely grateful for this imperfect life we have made together. Sophia turns 16 in a ceremony that fills our garden with friends and family and more sunflowers than I can count. She has grown into a remarkable young woman, thoughtful and fierce, with dreams of becoming a doctor. I watch her blow out the candles, and I think about the frightened child who arrived at our door 8 years ago. How far she has come, how far we have all come. Marco and Lucia are in high school now, navigating the chaos of adolescence with more grace than I ever managed. Marco plays soccer like his namesake, Uncle Marco, who has become something between a coach and a hero. Lucia paints, creating canvases that fill our walls with color and emotion. They still sleep in the same room sometimes, these twins who have been through so much together, finding comfort in each other's presence. Vincent's hair is more silver now, but his eyes are the same. Storm grey, and intense and capable of seeing straight through me. He has retired from the more active parts of the business, leaving leadership to the next generation while he focuses on the foundation we started together. We travel when we can. Italy, where his family still has a villa overlooking the sea. Japan, where Sophia wants to study one day. Small towns and big cities and all the places we dreamed of visiting during those early days on the couch. I think sometimes about the woman I used to be. The one who sat in that hospital waiting room, alone and afraid, her phone silent, her heart breaking. She seems like a stranger now. Someone I knew once, a long time ago, in a life that no longer exists. I do not hate her. I feel compassion for her. She did the best she could with what she knew. She held on when holding on seemed impossible. She survived day after day, even when survival felt like failure. And eventually, she found the courage to let go, to file those papers, to walk away from a life that was killing her slowly, to open herself to the possibility that something better was waiting. That courage did not come from nowhere. It grew in the darkness, in the loneliness, in the silence of all those nights spent wondering why she was not enough. It grew because she refused to give up, even when giving up would have been easier, even when everyone around her had already given up on her. And then Vincent appeared, a stranger who was not supposed to exist in her world, a man whose Past would have terrified her if she had known it sooner, but also a man who saw her, who chose her, who gave her a chance to live when the person who promised to love her forever decided she was not worth the inconvenience. That is the thing about second chances. They rarely look the way you expect. They come wrapped in darkness, in danger, in everything you have been taught to fear. They ask you to trust when trust has betrayed you. They ask you to hope when hope feels naive. They ask you to love when love has left you broken. But if you are brave enough to reach for them, if you are strong enough to hold on, they can transform your life in ways you never imagined. They can turn a woman who was dying into a woman who has never felt more alive. They can turn loneliness into belonging, despair into joy, fear into freedom. I stand on the back porch now, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors that seem chosen just for this moment. Vincent is beside me, his hand in mine, our fingers intertwined. The children are inside, their voices rising and falling in the rhythm of ordinary life, and I am filled with gratitude so profound it feels like prayer. This is not the ending I expected. It is better, more complicated, more real, and it belongs to me, to us, to the family we chose to build from the wreckage of everything we lost. After ignored by family at the hospital, I filed for divorce, not knowing that the stranger who gave me a kidney would give me so much more, not knowing that the worst day of my life would lead to the best years, not knowing that letting go of the people who should have loved me would create space for the people who actually do. The night is coming now, soft and gentle, bringing stars that I used to wish upon. I do not wish anymore. I live, I love, I trust the life I have built. And tomorrow I will wake up and do it again.